that Kiro actually just can't do anything against Slark when you get to later stages in the game, and I don't think it's going to necessarily easy to high ground OG.
And OG is a team that performs very well when their backs are against the wall, as we know from the Frankfurt Major. So I don't think they're on tilt. I think they got this.
I think LGD has very good lanes, so and they're on Dire. They can use the Roshan to their advantage. So LGD.
Ben, before we send it over, LGD. That's a split piece there. So let's find out exactly how it's going to pan out right now. We'll send it over to our awesome casters right now. Capitalist and Blitz, gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you, Coddle Guy. That's right. Game number 3 now. OG and LGD, and we've got one hell of a draft on both sides. OG developing that early Lone Druid, where we're looking at both Lone Druid and Bat Rider. We know there's still a carry left in the pool. That's a lot of like mid to late game cores, but LGD matched that by putting the Juggernaut mid here and going for the late game Spectre. Blitz, our analysts, were pretty split there on where they were going to lean towards.
I couldn't
who's
hear
going to
it.
win this series. Are you really going to base your prediction based on who actually said what?
Can I guess? Was Winter on the panel?
Yes.
Did he say that LGD was gonna win?
Of course he did.
Of course he did. He's a BTS caster, so that means OG's got this, like, in the back.
Well, I don't know. Gods did say OG.
What did Ben say?
Ben said LGD.
Oh, this was too easy. That took no thought from me. I was like, OG got this.
All right. Oh, apparently that's going to be Blitz breaking the tie and saying that our analysts as a whole are going to be predicting an OG win here. But we'll see. There's definitely going to be some slight issues here. Winter was talking about how the fact that the OG supports are not the greatest being able to perhaps pressure, and that's why LGD were able to do something like a mid-Juggernaut. Do you see some potential weakness here in the laning phase for OG?
I think so. Moon's got to get a lot out of this laning phase because it is a Spectre and it is timing fairly well, but I think OG's going to be just fine. We saw how effective Shaker was in the previous games. I think it was against Archon. Obviously, it's a different level of competition, LGD versus Archon, but still,
yeah,
crit is crit. And Moon already has pulled the creep wave to himself at top. First 4 CS of the game, I believe, which is tops in the game. Quite well for himself already.
Gets that critical level 2. Meanwhile, middle lane, No Tail is matched up against a melee. Of course, it is a melee that is better adept at dealing with a Bat Rider, as maybe he can always spin if the Bat Rider gets too many sticky napalms and starts fire flying over him. Moon, is he going to be caught here? Still has his Savage Roar, so seems unlikely. And the why he does manage to get the stun. The Roar back, Sylar is not going to be able to get any more damage, but the supports still get the right clicks in. DDC will take that first blood.
I still sort of think that Moon's going to be okay with that because Wave was in a weird spot anyways, plus he's just going to respawn and get up there. He's got the bear available too. And more importantly, he wants to keep all 3 supports up here for as long as he possibly can. I know that sounds weird. It sounds like I'm making like an excuse for his death, but in most regards, that's what you want out of your offlane. Both supports to be up there at all times.
And now at the mid lane, as the supports can't be there just yet, maybe he's going to be in an unfortunate position. He was forced to use spin there as there's a bitty sticky napalm stack, so he is going to have to sit back a little bit unless the supports can come forward and gank for him, but seems unlikely. I don't think they can really go for the gank. I just don't think they have the damage without spin being available.
And No Tail in mid lane already has his bottle, so he's doing just fine for himself, and Bottomfly is just continuously pulling his ROTK is just trying to grab the creep wave over to him.
Ritz, is he actually going to go for a block up here? Yeah, he is. So those Treants are going to have a hard time. Looks like they should still be able to pull. Oh no, the Fisher's actually going to cause some issues still with the melee creeps. They're actually going to be able to take out these Treants, so the creep wave goes back, and Les Furion, oh, ROTK, he actually snags it with one more right click, and we'll be able to keep those 2 Treants pulled back to him. This is funny how both offlaners essentially have the same kind of playstyle from the offlane position, where they just have some sort of pulling ability to get creep waves to their favor.
That's what makes them tier 1 offlane heroes, right? In the Nature's Prophet and the Lone Druid, the fact that they can kind of get the safe farm. There's almost nobody else that can really do that. Remember, there was a time period where bounty hunters were doing it, but that time is gone long and past, because now everybody plays it as a core position.
There's a bit of difference between these 2 offlaners, though. If anything, it's the Nature's Prophet who's a little bit more of the aggressive of the 3 cores that they have. Meanwhile, the Lone Druid is obviously much more of a carry type off laner. What are the kind of differences of playstyle that's going to be offered because of that?
I think ROTK is probably just going to look to get aggressive around the map a little bit more than...
Well, you're seeing it up in this top lane. He's actually going to gank up the enemy off laner with the help of his 2 supports. MMY still going to die, and that will be evenly distributed among the raiding heroes.
Yeah, and Fly's going to TP up here immediately because he doesn't want all of this to go to waste, but the good news for OG is that, yes, Moon has died twice, but Miracle is getting free farm on this map, and this time around, he has, I think, a better core than Jug. I feel like the weakness of Jug is, especially because he went for that S and Y build, he was never really able to transition fast enough for like he wanted, but with a hero like Slark, this hero's a monster, especially against Venge and Witch Doctor. Those are like the dream supports if I'm a Slark. Do they really have any ways to deal with him later on into the game? I feel like they don't.
No, not really. That's kind of interesting though, this play by No-Tail. So they were pressuring up that top lane really early on. They just killed the Lone Druid, he doesn't have a bear when he comes back. The one support that came up, the Lion, wasn't going to be enough to really stop the push, but No-Tail actually makes the full rotation up the top lane. Is this the idea? OG, are they going to be trying to stop any of these early tier 1 towers going down by moving the Batrider in front of these bushes, essentially?
I don't think so. I think it was just one of those one-off scenarios where he was walking up there anyways.
Whoa! That Omni Slash didn't stay on the target. Crit was just far enough forward and was lucky enough that maybe his Omni Slash actually bounced back the grid wave.
No-Tail's stacking up so much for himself too. This should be the moment he fireflies is after he napalms it 3 or 4 times. And he's got the other side too to contend with, and this is gonna boost things up quite quick for him as the creeps can't really do too much in this scenario. They're gonna go down like the most agonizing way possible. Yeah. No-Tail's coughing a lot of damage for this though, but should be able to get all of them just neatly.
I was about to say, maybe it was because of the number of troll camps, there was a lot of range creeps there, but why do you think he didn't try and like pull up the other camp, like the mid camp that was also stacked?
I don't think he would have been able to kill it, but probably was worth the damage at least, right? Doesn't matter too much though. He'll soon enough, and it's all like it's a difference between him and his blink action. Maybe
on the maybe. No-Tail picks up that alley rune. He is going to be able to get into the trees, but Sylar is pursuing things to that blade. He's still going to be able to get off the last zone. Is actually trying to keep Sylar on the cliff, but it's just not quite enough. That dagger does give the movement just long enough for Spectre to be able to get back down the cliff, gets the kill on the Batrider. That was a costly ultimate, but well worth it for a kill on a core.
Yeah, that's pretty big for them though. They were able to the Batrider. Moon is been effectively shut down. Of course, we know what Lone Druid can do with just a little bit of space, and it's hard to say means too much, but should be okay for now. And again, Miracle is in every single game that I've seen OG play. Seems like they're okay with these kinds of trades cap as long as this guy's getting absolute free farm.
Yeah, ever since we turned away from the meta where we had these really farm-dependent mids, like the SF that was so popular, and Miracle was able to get that kind of guaranteed farm there. They've been putting a lot more priority on these sort of Miracle safe lane heroes. Lark definitely seems to be one of them.
They're running this like dual core now, where No-Tail just plays the enabling hero and allows Miracle and Moon to kind of play the 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
But he's already got the Midas picked up for himself. Aquila's going to follow shortly after. Not even bothering to get boots because he's not really interested in fighting.
Nice block off. The Omni Slash is not going to be in range. That could have been a real quick kill on No-Tail. Then, he actually refills his bottle with the bounty rune, or the arcane rune. So, what does that let's actually take it down to? Sticky Napalm goes down to like 2.25 seconds or something. Pretty good. Sounds ridiculous. Miracle hops away. He's level 8 already, so obviously LGD can't really do it. Unless they get a really full rotation and surprise him in the jungle. But I don't think that's what LGD are looking for. I think they're, trying to grab the Batrider while he's doing his stacks.
Maybe he's got the Omni Slash available to himself. This should be enough damage. Fly alone is not their target.
Oh, absolutely.
They'll take this if they can't find anybody else. And it should be a quick and easy kill.
They're going to try and transition that into pressuring the tier 1 tower, but then of course No-Tail just shows up halfway through doing his jungle, and we'll be able to put a stop to it. They could have gone no-tail and slowed down that dagger timing. That would have been great, because as you said, no-tail, because they're running 2 cores, they have 2 cores they can't depend upon to actually provide coverage in this game. So in that case, it's all up to no-tail.
Oh, and no-tail's gonna get gone on as DDC. He did not expect that.
Yes, they're so big, but LGD like to commit early 5-man rotations on no-tail by surprise. The tier 1 tower in the process.
They're getting so much out of all of these mini engagements they're getting into right now. He shows up at the bottom, Miracle, just trying to scare him into popping the Shadow Dance, but not gonna bait. And GD's movements just look a lot more crisp this time around.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Kind of adjusting the playstyle. And it is kind of interesting how we're seeing teams do this kind of 2-core, but they have to be fighting cores that are able to do something relatively early on. So we're still keeping the pace pretty high, but we're also making sure that we still have mid to late game power as well. No-tail, nice 2-man Fisher there. They are going to go for him, and Wystyler would have been the better pickoff, but I don't think No-tail felt comfortable going for that one. He just would have been stunned up underneath the tower, so gets the easy kill on the support.
I think the biggest difference for LGD, in all honesty, is that this time around ROTK is getting involved early on and setting the tempo. He was pretty critical in the mid kill. He was able to help out at top as well, and in the other 2 games that I saw him, I felt like he was just completely phased out, and he focused way too much on his own farm.
I would have actually been down with... I thought the Hand of Midas in Chain, it wasn't too bad, but I really like Hand of Midas and Nature's Prophet, but it looks like ROTK is going straight for the early stats. We have seen plenty of Nature's Prophet pick up the Hand of Midas, and it really doesn't slow down their timing that much of whatever items they go for.
ROTK is going to get gone on, but shouldn't lead to too much.
No. Do you agree with ROTK's builds? Is this something about this game and the way that LGD are trying to force things so early that makes the stat more prevalent?
Most offlaners are going for this build. Like the phase into the drums immediately after. It just allows you to fight really early on, doesn't hard commit anything. You can still transition out of this build really easily. It just makes it so that it's tough to kill you, and on top of that, it makes you a good to get kills. Like this gives you a lot of free damage that you normally wouldn't have as...
Oh, those stunts landed at the exact same time. Miracle's just baiting out. He's like, if you want to try and Omni Slash me, go for it. I still have that Shadow Dance, and it's left to, in fact. He's going to be right back up to full HP, and this really hurts. LGD, every single time they go for one of those ganks, they know it's not a guarantee, and that's really just the danger of giving the Slark. And it seems to be OG's playstyle in general. We're talking about so much about how Spectre, not enough skill play. How their playstyle, where it just seems really hard to gank these heroes, and the only hero they can go for is really No-tail's mid when it comes to ganking. But the Slark just seems to fit in their wheelhouse in that regard.
Exactly. And then you've got Moon playing a hero like Lone Druid, where it takes multiple heroes to try to knock down just because of the Savage Roar. I mean, that's the trend that I noticed immediately on, and it feels like they're over and over again for themselves. Give No-tail or Miracle something difficult to gank, give No-tail something can create space regardless of how many times he dies, and boom, put him in a similar situation and you're fine. But
you say in a way it's kind of like hedging yourself against the aggression that was kind of set up rather early by some of these teams like MVP, or perhaps even before the tournament started. Some of these games was that something that perhaps the aggression started, and this is their way to kind of hedge their bets against it, just make it really difficult to gank.
Yeah, and I think it's also just it's like a really safe and comfortable style for them.
Yeah,
it's
very reliable way to play.
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest thing, is that tournaments like this aren't a sprint, it's a marathon. So you need to set up these kind of easy to follow game plans for your team so they know what to do when things go bad. The biggest thing that you should think about is, while Moon dies, he knows because they've run this strategy before, I'm good. I know somebody on my team's getting farmed, that person's Miracle, I'm fine.
And then Y is going to be picked off by the Bat Rider. That's just no fun to deal with. A mid Bat Rider that picks up a haste, what are you going to do?
Like, give the kill to Crit 2, and at the same time, Miracle actually gets a solo kill.
He managed to dive the tower and pick up the Nature's Prophet. He actually started TPing out underneath that Shadow Dance. But when the TP was cancelled by LGD, decides to stick around and is going to try and pressure that tower. See if he can take that tier 1.
They really don't have ways to deal with him, by the way. I'm looking at their lineup. In the first game, I think the first game they might have even had better ones.
Oh, Siler's actually going to go for Miracle because he knows that the Shadow Dance is down, but a Blink Dagger pickup! Oh, Miracle! You sneaky devil, you!
Siler's still going for it.
Siler's still trying to, but he's now running the dagger! Oh, Miracle just got to get in the trees for the Fury and all comes out. That's enough extra damage. LGD just were surrounding that Slark. They knew how all-important that kill was. Maybe Miracle shouldn't have stuck around to try and pressure that. That was just perhaps a bit greedy, showing the enemy that you didn't have Shadow Dance anymore and sticking around like that.
And they've got the triple drums now by LGD. I really like this move. They took down the bottom.
Was it Alliance that had triple drums as well?
I can't remember what
I think it was.
They took down the tier 1 bottom, which everybody does for Radiant Signaling. You never want to be there if you can. And maybe off the back of that kill, they know OG's lineup is not built to deal with this Roshan attempt. Can they do got a Spark who's dead?
I really want 3 jumps though. Like, I'm down with 2, but we have gone like, I don't know, like maybe straight into the S and Y or something. No, it's a little, no, it's a little weird going straight S and Y after.
Maybe ROTK should have gone like. We're not really looking for straight 5-on-5 engagements though.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a terrible idea, especially against a lone druid. You give him so much space. Look what's happened in and why that style works out so well. So, how much do they commit to the Miracle?
Well, they're committing to DDC right now, so we'll talk about that in a second. And Siler is actually going to TP in, but not just going to let this be a one-off kill on DDC. They're going to try to defend it, but the Cats, ooh, that's a bad position. That is actually probably No-Tail in so many trouble. They managed to get the heads off onto Siler. He's staying right on top of No-Tail. He desperately wants to kill it. He's going to get it too. Thanks to that Aegis, he can free all out here on OG. He's going to be able to go for crit as well. Takes him out with a magic missile. Moon positioned himself to hit on Maybe, but I don't think that's going to be able to do much unless Miracle can come in. He takes out the Spectre. There goes that Aegis, and Maybe pops his Invis rune. Miracle may not have been expecting that one. He's got the pounce, being body blocked up by Maybe, but LGD are going to call it quits there. They definitely won that engagement. That was very good. The casket, man, that paralyzing cast did so much work.
They wanted to be able to get that nature disruption a lot earlier than they did, but well, not an awful trade for OG. It could have been a lot worse. Moon is steadily getting towards that Radiance, but as I was saying, so they take a lot of time to try to kill Miracle, and that's kind of the game plan of OG. Like, waste time trying to kill this guy who's nearly unkillable. And
he's got Midas anyway, so his farm progression is guaranteed, right?
Exactly. So what ends up happening on the other side of the map, Moon just continues to farm. So you've got these two cores that are farming up polar opposites of the map, and both of them require minimum 3 heroes to be able to kill. So now you just open up one side of the map for one hero, or the other side of the map for the other. It's like a really smart strategy by OG overall. It's really hard to play against. Everything that you have to do from LGD side then, be crisp. Every gank that you go for, where it takes you like multiple heroes, it has to work out for you.
If you fail, you just give all that space to the other core on the other side of the map for nothing. The other important thing is to, when you get those kind of successful takeoffs or successful team fights in this case, pressure down those towers. Make sure that OG don't have the same kind of control of the map where they can put one hero on one side of the map and the other far off on the top side.
Yeah. Here's the trade right now though. LGD are saying, screw it. We're going to give you farm moon. We're just going to go for objectives though. We know that you're not ready to fight us. This is the downside of OG's draft, I think, is if teams play this quickly and they have the heroes that can kind of push down without worrying about the 4v5s, they feel good.
Yeah, we were actually watching Con's game and we're talking about like perhaps the lack of push at some point in time, like maybe replacing the Lion with the Shadow Shaman, like that would do something more for their lineup. Could you say the same about OGs? Because one of the downsides is when they get the space to push, anything but the Lone Druid is not actually able to take time.
Oh, DDC at top. Miracle is thinking about it right now. He's got the Shadow Dance too. He could...
This goes in DDC, Voodoo Restoration, but it's not going to do much. Quickly ends up dying, and Miracle that Shadow Dance to make sure he can stay ahead of the Venge Spirit and not get swapped back.
I think this time around though, they're a lot better off than Archon was at any point in the game. Like OG's got Lone Druid. Lone Druid almost alone is kind of enough to deal. And they've got Slark is not that bad. You don't want him to be a centerpiece, but he can be, just because LGD don't have anything that immediately kill him. They don't have a line of their own or anything that can pop them for the Shadow Dance. Almost every ability that LGD have is disjointable by the Slark. I think the Witch Doctor cast follows you no matter what, but that stun's almost negligible as long as you're not standing next to somebody.
Pick up here, Crit at 18 minutes is able to grab his Blink Dagger, and he's got the 3 levels of Aftershock. He doesn't even max out Fisher just to make sure that he actually can get a combination. You need level 3 of Aftershock.
Oh, this is so smart by OG if they can get there in time. LGD though, they're going to
feel a
run
bit
it.
faster. Moon, the snake goes down. They're actually going to be a bit slow in getting onto Moon, especially with that roar. He may end up dying here, but OG, oh, the Fisher goes down. It's not going to be enough. Blind misses his stun entirely. Chris comes in now, angle slam onto 2, but it's not that good. He doesn't actually control the heroes all that well. Maybe does end up going down. And Miracle has now made his debut into the fight. DDG lets go that death ward. He pops the Shadow Dance and will be able to take out DDG. Turns back, looks for RTK, thanks to Fly. That will be possible. The TP ends up being cancelled, and OG do punish LGD successfully. I thought their rotation was just going to be a bit too slow, but of course, the heavy commitment by LGD to kill Moon ends up pushing them too far into the tower, and OG bounced pretty quickly.
And that's exactly what OG are banking on, that it takes so long to kill Moon that they can almost always get there. That's just a really well-read situation by them. They know by this ward over here and the bottom one, like they can just always infer where LGD is going to go.
That's gonna be really hard to read, right? From an enemy position, you're looking at this and going, "Oh, they're giving up on the lone druid when we're ganking him with 3 heroes." You know, it's just creating space. But then at a certain point, OG flipping on
Yeah, exactly.
the whole table and like, "No, we're not actually giving up the lone druid."
It's just constantly evolving your strategy more than anything. The good news though for LGD, and I feel like we're talking about OG strat too much, but it's mainly just because I find it pretty cool. It's pretty neat to think about, but LGD have done this really well. The fact that they're keeping up in this game at all against the kind of style and adapting in the best of 3 this quickly is pretty insane. They've actually got the Radiance on the Spectre themselves, so they've just hit their own item timings. OG are going to struggle with heroes like Lion that's 800 HP, the Earthshaker who heavily relies on the Blink. These heroes are really going to suffer.
They've got their Radiance picked up ahead of Lone Druid. This is an opportune time for LG to actually force a fight. They know that Echo Slam is on cooldown for 45 seconds. They can see that the Radiance isn't up yet. This seems like a really great opportunity for them to go. And LG are trying to force it, and no tails up right into that trap too. The Omnislide jumps over the crease, and he does get MMY up on the cliff, but it doesn't seem to matter. Crit's almost dead practically from the Spectre alone. Did get the Lion, it looks like, farther down. Must have been Spectre killing it up.
I almost feel like if he was really quick, he could have gotten both of them. Like the Earthshaker was really low in that fight, but look how effective that Spec Haunt is at this phase of the game. Almost neither of the supports can survive against it. OG supports are kind of just food to him right now, and even though the Slark is still ahead, you would much rather have the Haunt just because of the dual purpose that it gives you, canceling the blinks.
LGD, I think, really see their timing blooming at this point in time. If they actually can the SNY for Juggernaut and they have this Radiance on Spectre, it seems like those two like kind of fighting style cores have just reached one of those peaks where you just can't fight them for the next 5 or 10 minutes.
And Sylar at top tries to make it go on the bear, but
that's dead.
Impossible to kill.
It's a really fast Scotty. 21 minutes Scotty.
I will tell you now, Cap, none of the supports in this game will equip themselves.
What are you gonna do? They pop the Ghost Scepter, it only lasts so long, the swap goes down, Miracle just stays right on top of that support. But if they can actually lock down Miracle, stay ahead of him, don't let him pounce away. He's getting to the trees, trying to get over, he does get on top of the cliff, and actually pursue him. Now that he gets the lasso as well as that Lion Finger, maybe they're actually gonna go down here. Miracle comes back and strikes. Able to pick up that kill, double there. Now they're gonna go for the triple. DDC's been blocked out by the Fisher. Miracle jumps on top of him as well. He's gonna go from having a Scotty at 20 minutes to having some fresh item by 25 with the way this fight is going.
Right now the Slark is going to go unchecked because there's almost no way to hard lock him down. The only way is that if Miracle messes up, but his team did a really good job there. Like OG responding to that. LGD thought for a second there was going to be an opportunity there. There probably was, but they just lost a little bit too much. Flip up the mid as Sylar is here to defend, but I don't want to be careful as he does have the Haunt available though.
Seemed pretty desperate to almost try and save that tower. Considering how aggressively he was positioned, knowing that OG were still...
And OG, There's the spin towers. They're gonna make
One of the pop Siler, but a nice swap still though. Miracle stays on top of him. Siler will end up going down. He still has that shatter dance. Maybe he's gonna try and stick on top of him with the spin. Miracle has the pounce, makes the quick right turn. Will be able to get over. Beautiful play there. Then get a little bit more damage. He has the malediction on him as well. He has another pounce, but it's not gonna be enough. LGD. That was a beautiful trade-off that they desperately needed. Expertly well played.
That was one of the coolest non-flashy plays, if that makes sense at all.
Casually throwing a death ward
On
with
the high
thanks to
ground.
the ether lens.
That's
All the way to that high ground.
That's so insane. Oh, I'm so impressed right
I
now.
mean, he needed that damage too, because the Maledict was...
Yeah, he was gone if he didn't make that play. He was gone if they didn't make that play, and that's a huge pickup for them. Oh boy, that was big.
So maybe not going for SNY, right? This has got to be something else. It's got 2,800 golds. This is some sort of like, what's really necessary for him in this game?
Maybe, I was thinking...
Do you pick up the early BKB at all in this kind of game, or
I
is
don't
that
think so.
Not a...
I think you're okay with just like the spin plus your Omni Slash. I think when you get a BKB on a hero like Jug, it's to protect the rest of your investments. So you'll get it near the end. Most of the time it's just about utilizing your ultimate and your spin. In the
So
early
you
game.
still need probably 2 more items before you...
Yeah, I would like to see at least 1 or 2 more items before he picks up something like that. But man, this game is, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I really counted LGD out coming into the series and after the first game, and
Yeah,
most
after
of
that
the
first
second
game, that looked pretty nasty.
yeah, and most of the second game, it just looked like OG was gonna stomp, but LGD, it feels like they're just like revitalized into the second game. Advantage is still heavily OGs when it comes to XP, and net worth is like 4K. This is a doable situation for OG, or for LGD.
Our man smoke up from OG. Fight was not the greatest for them. Letting the bear push out mid. I'm not sure if they're like trying to bear right now. Seems like it. No tails going to the secret shop area, but this is kind of the tail end of their smoke. They will be able to find something here. It's going to be maybe MMY couldn't quite get the swap, but I don't think this really matters. They don't want to really be getting into this fight anyway. OG were not grouped up very much. Now Fly and No Tail going to have the cast bouncing back and forth between the two of them. Looks like No Tail is going to be able to get away. Our Mental Spirit is pretty much stuck behind enemy lines. Lion is going to go down, chase away, and Grid, well, Siler is going to go down. He managed to get taken out by the bear. Moon wants to be able to get out of here, though. This is LGD. The rest of them still look very healthy. The pick off on the Spectre was nice. They managed to trade it for their 2 supports, but they can't really continue to engage. And LGD shouldn't want to anyway. They've got to defend top lane where Miracle was going at it.
Oh, it is going to be the BKB, by the way, for maybe, and look at Miracle just like turn around for half a second to try to bait the... You want to go for me?
So what does that tell you? Because of the fact that this isn't perhaps not a typical timing about a BKB on Juggernaut, what does that tell you about what LGD think they need to do in this game?
Probably just that the Jug isn't going to be like a true 2 position, or like the time when I see these kinds of like dual ones as it started with MVP Phoenix, right?
Yep.
And then China just seemed to kind of pick that on us, but most of the time it's more of like a true, like a shared 1 position almost, not even like a 2. With maybe, it feels like he's saying, okay, I'm gonna be the person getting up there so that Siler can live, and I need more than just a spin. Like most of the time you'll see him grab at least like 1 or 2 side items. It's really rare, I think, for the BKB Jug to come out like right after the Yasha.
He's got to be both a frontline hero, and he also needs to make sure that they win these next couple of fights, or at least don't lose them against OG. Otherwise, the Lone Druid really got to start kicking into play. He's going to rapidly evolve from Radiance Vlad's to an AC, which is where I would say a certain peak for Lone Druid.
Yeah. Oh, and Swap's going to instantly cancel that, but...
Miracle's still going to be able to get an initiation onto ROTK, who does have Shadow Rifle. He'll be okay. Miracle's going to take a bit more damage, still has the pounce, as well as his ultimate out. Fisher block, and LGD will not pursue here.
So patient with that Shadow Dance. I feel like I would have just popped it almost immediately when he was in the Sprout, but LGD was trying to bait it out. I think the Slark is just better, though, than this kind of game. I think the Slark pretty much go unchecked until somebody grabs something like a Hex, But if you notice, almost nobody from LGD is building towards more control or anything like that.
Right.
They're building primarily for survivability. So the Slark is just going to get better and better. And the Lone Druid is pretty much going to mirror, if not get bigger than your Spectre. So I almost feel like LGD just have to take these fights early on, especially since ROTK is not getting the amount of fun that he needs to become another core for his team. You probably just keep taking fights and hope that the early game investment was worth it.
Treants feel that Roshan's around that half HP marker. LGD want to go, they've got to go soon. They don't have the Spectral ultimate. They do have another Spectral dagger though. Throw it inside the pit, build a little bit more information, and now LGD are going to start making their way.
Are you really going for this?
Interact with the same time. Roshan goes down. Aegis is on the net somewhere. They manage to. Oh god, the Echo is still there. Somebody pick it up. Tyler, yes, he gets it towards the tail end. He'll be able to turn on the grid. Miracle traps up onto the tree. He counts himself back down. Tyler's almost dead here, but Miracle just can't get his hands on him. It's only the Aegis anyway. He picks up the Ring of Quill, manages to shadow dance his way back out of that one. Saves the ring, he says, and will be able to escape into the trees. LGD on hot pursuit here, but it just doesn't seem like they're going to catch anything. Either way, though, that was still a beautiful win there, as I'm not sure how they managed to keep that Aegis out of the hands of OG for so long.
I thought for a second OG had it guaranteed because the Earthshaker fissure even went down, but
Yeah.
Radiant's top tower
maybe it
is
pushed him
under
to the
attack.
other side. I'm not sure. Everybody was pinging it. I think Crit even pinged it and said, yeah, he did. He said Aegis is the immortal drop here. He was like trying to tell his team, anybody pick it up. I don't even care at this point. The worst possible thing happened. Gave it to Sylar.
Yeah.
And Spec is a really good Aegis carrier just because you can use him as the frontliner now and not necessarily just have to immediately haunt in. He's just so annoying to have to deal with the first time around. That was such a good opportunity for OG. Should have been just a free Aegis for Slark. How does LGD kill him twice? You just don't have the necessary disables to do it twice.
And MKB is now complete. Miracle going for this, like, I mean, it started with a Scotty, and obviously it's just going to follow from there, but, like, immediately going for the biggest late game items that he possibly can. What does he go next? Is that going to be, like, an Abyssal Blade next?
I think so. You need some kind of lockdown. You now have something to deal with the Radiance, and Miracle is deciding that he doesn't need the BKB. I think he wants to just continue to build more greedy for more damage, and I think that's the right idea. Nobody from LGD has a Hex or anything like that. Along those lines, most of the things that you can get rid of are destroyable with Dark.
Spectre ultimate goes out. No tail, or sorry, Crit was the target, but had a Glimmer Cape.
Glimmer Cape destroy Spec.
Yeah, because can't really rely on Ghost Scepter, right? There's a potential for Diffuse Blade to be picked up by either one of these cores. So Glimmer Cape's just the more reliable escape.
If you lose a gem once to on Spectre, awful, because you're not going to just carry around dust. Man, things are... I still think OG is in the driver's seat, which is why they're going for the smoke right now, regardless of the... more about the hot timing. They're going to find ROTK.
Yeah, swap back out though, RTK is going to be able to get away. They're going to have to content themselves with still on MMY, Sylar. Forget about contesting there with his Aegis, but he's decided it's just not really worth it. Miracle, looking for more. He just managed to chase away LGD. No need to overly pursue because the top lane, Moo, takes the tier 2 tower.
We've been talking about the Slark this entire time, but we've almost just completely disregarded the fact that Moon almost has an Assault Curse, Flash, and a Radiance at 31 minutes into the game.
Dire's
It's just doing him a disservice, honestly. Oh, he has it actually.
RTK thinks he can get the pick off here. The Glimmer Cape is buying some time for flying. No tail gets him a bit more with that Force Staff and the pushback.
Got a point booster. Oh, Nags.
Is there enough heroes? I don't see these heroes being grouped up that much that you can go for Ags.
The Fissure will set it up. Don't worry about it.
I guess so. There's no other item he really goes for, right?
Okay. AC is just about complete for Moon. Looks like Slark is going to go for the Moon Shards. Really good item choice, I think. That is a very weird 3-set item piece by ROTK. Fighting Nature's Prophet build.
And then smoke up from LGD. Certainly worked out against that Slark. Well, They are not going to find anyone right away, but if they continue all the way around, they'll catch Moon here. Lead with the spin. Sure that Moon isn't able to get a good roar. He's trying to get himself in the best position to get multiple heroes back and TP away, and it almost was going to work, but a swap stops him just in time.
He was like gone. To see the outline of his body.
Not. Now with a pickoff, a big pickoff at that. Lone Druid down for 60 seconds. LGD can get a lot of control. They can actually look for one of these tier 2 towers.
They can decide to go for the mid one. I don't think OG, even if they had the buyback on the Lone Druid, which he doesn't, I don't think he would expend it for just this. And Siler just continues to split up the map because he knows with the Aegis he's fine. Although it just fades right now. And he's got a full Manta style completed now. His main hero. Maybe has Blink Dagger and 2200 gold. Or TK has a BKB. They're all in fighting shape right now. LGD want to make the most of this opportunity.
20 seconds, still the Lone Druid is back up.
I don't think LGD have enough time.
I don't think so either.
I don't think they want to fight into the Lone Druid plus Slark.
If they wanted to try and get that tier 2, they had to like barrel into it immediately. Not going to be a wise decision. Moonshard, complete form, miracles. He tries to scout out, maybe, blinks on him. Maybe, counters with his own blink.
Found any wards or anything? Nothing like that. Seems like so far. LGD lost the Aegis, so they don't want to get too aggressive. They've got a gem on themselves and smoke on DDC. Maybe they just smoke up and for these pickoffs, but they have Haunt too. I don't know how much bigger they get than this. Walking around with the gem.
What in your head? What is kind of obviously it's not concrete, always kind of fluid based on aim attack. But we don't have opportunity to talk about that. As we're gonna watch Tyler get picked off. That was better than the Lone Druid pickoff that LGD got earlier.
Did that feel like it took a pretty long time?
Yeah,
despite the fact that he was like completely by himself and he didn't even get Manta until the end. It's a little bit scary for OG. Yeah. They had to use, what, Finger, Lasso, Fissure. Still didn't just go down.
What's the ideal timing? Like, or rather, what's the latest timing for LGD? At what point do you go, or alright guys, we really got a high ground pushing at this game before LD and Slark get to... Or is there ever a timing like that?
I think LGD have pretty wide opening for that, just because Spec is always okay. But man, Miracle just going in, doesn't even care.
Good jump in, no tail, bounce around. Doesn't actually have Lasso, looks like he's scaring LGD back, and they will be able to get the melee racks because of that one. 20 more seconds till the Spectre. And Jesus. Jump back in, Miracle, okay. Take that lane of racks and you figure that OG are just going to try and get out without any losses, but Miracle jumps in, forces out a BKB use, the Nature's Prophet. Then they finally retreat.
This is weird. OG want to continue to fight because they haven't used any of the cooldowns for this, so they're hoping that somebody comes to solo push this out. And they know there are no wards around the area because of No-Tail and the Slark. But nobody's baiting right now. LGD is waiting for the full force. They start to run together. Smart idea by them. Now they're gonna immediately smoke up.
Manta trying to bait things out, but No-Tail's not taking the bait. Tier 2, back out. So our next fight is probably going to be around Roshan, which is in a little over a minute's time.
They're running as a group right now. They want to grab somebody if they can, but like they're going to be unsuccessful with this. They thought for a second maybe we fight around the Roshan area or right before that. Catch OG unawares.
Not gonna happen. 25k on the Slark. You can see OG are up by over 12k on both the metrics. But late game Spectre. Things are always going to be scary for OG no matter what.
This time around though, I think they've itemized, plus they have the better heroes. Kind of a workaround. The Omni Slash goes down.
The Omni Slash is going to be enough to finish off No Tail. The Spectre ult, he starts actually going that Moon may have to turn to fly. Instead, he's getting hexed up. Taking off the Earthshaker. Sylar's down to half HP. Pops Manta in order to get out of the roots, but now he's been lathered up. No Tail reintroduces himself into the fight. Makes sure to grab the critical carry. The swap goes down, but they're going to be able to run him down the bear. Sylar just cannot get away from this one.
Even gets the root, he's going to get chased down too, as they've got full vision of him. This Slark just does way too
Whoa,
much
get the
damage.
jab, boys! Oh, they didn't see that one.
Nobody cares.
Yeah,
They're just going to go for X.
Alright, go, go, go! Straight down mid. Just slide right on through to the bottom lane.
Yeah.
Force some buybacks as...
They can just force buybacks and go for Roshan right now. It's a really bad situation for LGD.
Because even when they buy back on the Spectre, it still doesn't have pop.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you go for Roshan there, it's actually not a very good way for LGD to contest.
They've used the buybacks, and if LGD engage outside their base and they lose this fight, the game's over anyway. Miracle just jumps in.
He really wants the quick pick off on DDC to prevent that death ward. Such a huge impact to the team fight. The water right Major on the 3-2. Baby's versus the BKB, but he's having all of his stats stolen away from Miracle. Sylar's even gonna die. That's pretty much the end of the game right there. That's 3 heroes down. Miracle keeps on going. The unadulterated aggression out of OG ends this game way faster than you would have thought. Just 5 minutes ago, you're looking at a relatively even match from OG and LGD. Anything can turn around. OG gets a one pick off on Spectre and never let go of that advantage.
They had too much control in this game. Slark is a decidedly different hero than the Jungle was in the last game. In the last game, even though OG were up by like 10k, I said that LGD had like a 40% chance to still win before the fight even happened, but that's because of the type of heroes that they had. This time around, OG have a Slark. That hero destroys at least 3 of the heroes on LGD. He itemized so well that the spec couldn't even